Pruning is one of the key operations in making a bonsai. Pruning a bonsai does not only help us get the tree to the desired shape, but it also helps us to get the tree always more and more compacted, because we need compacted trees. The bonsai art is a mix between visual design and the natural world. So if you want a bonsai to be very good, a high quality bonsai resembles the natural environment. But keep in mind, this is also an art form. Pruning, just like any operation that we do in the bonsai art, is knowing what you are trying to achieve. So what does that mean in the practical and in the real world is that you have to know what stage your bonsai is in, because bonsais are made in stages, okay? And if you respect and you recognize the stage that your tree is in, it will be a lot faster and easier to get to the refinement stage of that tree. First stage, you need to build a trunk. So a tree that doesn't even have too much branches and it only has a trunk, it's in its first stage. You can have a small bonsai, of course. I love small bonsais, but you cannot have a thin bonsai. Also, the trunk not only has to be thick, but it also needs to taper. And how do you get that? Well, of course, you let your tree grow freely, you don't prune it, you don't do anything to it, and then you come in and trunk chop it, okay? You cut it very hard, you leave just a stump, and from then you grow it again. Stage 2, making primary branches on your good trunk. Primary branches also need to have taper on them, so they need to be thick at the bottom and thin out to the top. How do you get that? Well, you guessed it again. You let the branches grow freely a lot, and come in and you prune them back very hard. Stage 3, a tree with secondary branching. That means one branch divides into two branches, okay? So we're now in stage 3. Stage 4, tertiary branching. In stage 2, we had only one branch. In stage 3, we have two branches growing from this branch, and we're gonna let them grow big again, okay? So it's like this, they grow big, and we must build now tertiary branching. We come back and we prune hard on those two, okay? And from these two, which are long now, from these two we'll get, from one we'll get two, and from the other one another two. This is called tertiary branching. So it's a division from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8 to 16 to 32. So of course this is just purely theoretical, because in the real life, and it's a golden rule, okay, from 1 to 2 to 4 to 8, okay, but it's just in theory. In real life, in reality, what will happen is you will not only get two branches from one, you will get a lot of branches, okay? So you must decide what do you keep and what you don't want to keep. Stage 5. Stage 5, find ramifications. So you've got a trunk, you've got primary branches, you've got secondary branches, you've got tertiary branches, you've got a structure, you've got a silhouette, okay? Now you just prune to shape, and you will prune leaving always two leaves on one branch. So the logic is just the same, but now you've got a structure, you've got a shape, and you're letting your branches grow, and you prune back to 2, again to 2. So you'll get 4 from 2. When you are pruning a green branch, a young branch, what will happen is that only the buds on the bottom of those leaves will pop up, will emerge, okay? When you are cutting a branch that is old, it's lignified, a lot of buds will pop up because they are there, you cannot see them. So not only the buds from the bottom of the leaves will emerge, but also you will wake up dormant buds. There are dormant buds on the woody branches. So you will get a lot of new shoots growing in. For something to become beautiful, it first needs to be ugly. That's the truth, okay? So when your tree is in the first stages of building structure, the tree will not look good because you will not prune it back to look good in that moment. You will prune it back to further develop better and better and better structure. If you're doing this in a right way, your tree will look good on its own with time, okay? But if you're pruning, always pruning for your tree to look good now, what will happen is that you will take a shortcut, and you cannot take shortcuts with a bonsai tree. Another extremely important thing to keep in mind is that if you do not let your tree grow, it will die. Trees need to grow because, okay, we are talking about bonsai, but what is a bonsai? A bonsai is a tree in a container, a tree in a pot. Yeah, but how do I know when to prune it? Well, it's pretty simple. When a tree grows, when it's pushing growth, because trees and bonsai grow in, they push growth. They have a lot of these pushes. So what they do, they spend energy and they push out growth, okay? You let them grow, you wait, because the branches are gonna grow, and they're gonna stop at some point. After they stop, the leaves, which are now that fluorescent green, that they're just so young and green, will start to mature, okay? So the branch will stop at some point. That's called a push, okay? It pushes a growth, and it will stop growing and now start to recover its investment. The logic is, don't prune the tree when it's investing energy. So when it's growing, don't prune it, because you're taking away that well-spent energy. The tree needs to spend its energy and then settle the leaves. The leaves will mature, will get a nice darker green, darker color, and they will take in sun, recover that investment. After it recovers that investment, you can now go and prune. Never prune a tree more than 3 or 4 times per year, okay? Well, this is a longer debate. It depends, because if you are talking about deciduous trees, it's less. If you are talking about indoor trees like tropical, subtropical plants, you will prune a lot more. So keep in mind that no matter the style of your bonsai, the silhouette must always resemble a tree. How does a tree grow? Well, it has a dome shape on its crown. You always have to keep that in mind. Look at any bonsai on this planet, and this is the main thing that all of them have in common. Trees do not know they are in a pot. So what do the trees like to do is grow big. It's in their DNA. They want to grow tall, but we want them to be small. So this is how we get that compacted form of a bonsai. And by letting the tree grow big and pruning back hard, not only we get a lot of ramifications, but the tree will be healthier because it gets to grow. Also, by pruning back, we will get smaller leaves. But this is a topic for another time.